Hello friends! Scientists have discovered over 50 unknown species of animals in the 20th century. During the same century, about 100 known species disappeared from the face of the earth. Only in the last 50 years, 25 species of mammals went extinct. And it is people who are to blame for it. They've been mercilessly destroying rare animals for years. Have you ever seen an incredible zombie snail or an unusual stingray colored like a tiger? What about a huge jellyfish that weighs as much as an adult lion? If you've never heard about any of these fascinating animals, it's not really surprising because they are rarely talked about. In today's video, I will tell you about these and other incredible and unusual animals which you didn't even know existed. Emperor newt. The emperor newt is one of the most incredible and amazing amphibians that can be found on our planet. It's the unusual color that makes this newt so magnificent. It seems that it has just stepped off the screen of a movie. It stands out for its extremely bright colors. It has an orange ridge that runs along its back against the background of a dark brown body. The tail and legs of this amphibian are usually also orange. What's interesting is that the emperor newt was isolated as a separate species relatively recently, about 25 years ago. This beautiful little creature lives in China, in the mountainous regions of Yunnan province, where it can be found at an altitude of 300 to 750 meters above sea level. Unfortunately, the species is currently going through hard times, and it might soon join the list of endangered species. Himalayan monal. The Himalayan monal is a very unusual bird. It looks like a combination of a parrot, cassowary, peacock, and a bunch of other different birds. The males of this bird species seem to be a combination of two elements, fire and water. Their wings are indigo and their tail is a glowing red color. Their heads are bright green and reddish yellow. The female's coloring is more neutral. They are brown with light spots and black stripes on their body. The Himalayan monal inhabits mountain forests with oak and pine trees, as well as steep and gentle slopes covered with grass. You can find these birds at an altitude of 2.5 to 5 kilometers above sea level in the Himalayas, from eastern Afghanistan to the eastern border of Bhutan, and in some regions of Tibet. If there's too much snow for these birds, they descend to lower levels of the mountains. This bird is truly so amazing and unusual that it's even become the national bird of Nepal. Zombie snails. These snails are infected with the parasitic worm, Leucochloridium paradoxum, which uses gastropods as an intermediate host. The eggs of this parasite are injected by the snail as it crawls through the grass. Once inside the snail, these eggs develop into larvae. As they mature, they form branches that spread throughout the snail's body and end in swollen brood sacs. One of these branches gets into the snail's eye tentacle. It further increases in size and acquires a bright color, starting to look somewhat like a caterpillar. Depending on the intensity of the light that falls on the snail, this brood sac pulsates and changes colors. This is done to attract the attention of birds, the final hosts of the parasite. The eye, which is located on the infected tentacle, becomes extremely insensitive to light. Therefore, the snail seeks to find the place with the best illumination possible. When the bird sees the pulsating snail, it grabs it and eats it. Now the parasite will lay its eggs in the bird's body, which will then be excreted by the bird and end up on the grass or another place where a snail could earth them. This cycle can go on forever. Muras jellyfish. I'm sure you've seen many different jellyfish, but have you seen anything like this incredible individual? Meet Muras jellyfish. This isn't only one of the most amazing, but also one of the largest jellyfish on the planet. The diameter of the body of these creatures is about 2 meters, and their weight reaches 200 kilograms. It turns out that they weigh almost as much as an adult lion. It isn't surprising that divers look tiny against such a giant. These unusual creatures live in the Yellow and East China Seas. Most of the time, they just wiggle in the water and consume tiny plankton. But if someone gets close and starts teasing them, it won't end well. The long tentacles of this jellyfish are covered with cells that produce a strong venom. Its composition is still unknown to science. Since the substances released by the tentacles are poorly understood, there is still no antivenom for it. Even though the sting of this jellyfish rarely ends in death, it is still better to admire this giant from a safe distance. Tiger stingray. Tiger stingrays have an unusual color by nature. These amazing creatures belong to the Potamotragon genus, living in some tributaries of the Amazon River. Until recently, nothing was known about this stingray. It was scientifically described only 10 years ago. Accordingly, there is still not much information about the tiger stingray. Scientists know that the maximum disc width of this stingray is 80 centimeters. They also know that these stingrays are oviparous and that they have a venomous spine in the middle part of its caudal stem. This beautiful stingray is dangerous. Its sting can be lethal, but it doesn't stop many aquarists from dreaming of getting one of these beautiful creatures for their aquariums. Hammerheaded bat. It is one of the largest and weirdest bats in the world. These creatures reach 30 centimeters in length. Their wingspan is about 90 centimeters, and their weight is slightly over 400 grams. They live in Western and Central Africa, where they inhabit mangroves, as well as coastal and swampy forests. This species gets its name due to the large head of an unusual shape in males. This shape of their skull is not accidental. The large preorbital region of the skull, as well as the lips and larynx, allow males of the hammerheaded bat to make loud sounds that attract females. Talking about females, during the mating season, males gather on large groups on tree branches near rivers. At a certain moment, the male bats begin to quickly flap their wings while the females choose partners. When the choice is made, the female sits down next to the male and he begins to make a loud buzzing sound that serves as an invitation to copulation. These bats are unusual and interesting in everything. But they do have one big drawback. They are carriers of the dangerous Ebola virus, so you should definitely stay away from them. Lowland streaked tenrik. There are many interesting and amazing animals in Madagascar, and the lowland streaked tenrik is one of them. Walking through the Madagascar forest, you should carefully look under your feet. Otherwise, you can step on this little animal with a lush thorn collar on its neck while it's swarming in the ground. Lowland streaked tenriks are similar to hedgehogs and are rather small, only 16 centimeters long, and their weight isn't more than 300 grams. But in all other respects, they are very unusual. Their most striking feature is their color. The lowland streaked tenriks are distinguished from other types of tenriks by their black and yellow stripes. They get their special charm from the long yellow spines that can be raised behind their ears, forming a crown of sorts. Lowland streaked tenriks live in small groups in burrows they dig in the ground. They can't see very well, so they rely mostly on their keen sense of smell and hearing, especially when hunting for their favorite food, earthworms. Their thorns serve them as protection from predators and as a means of communication with relatives. When rubbed against each other, the spikes of their backs emit a quiet vibration, which helps the lowland streaked tenrik send messages to members of their group about impending danger or about their readiness to mate. So friends, that's all for today. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and see you soon.